All right, here goes my Chapter 7 case study. So this case study examines three of the titans in internet technology and computer technology, and that is Google, Apple, and Facebook. It goes into detail on how each of these three companies are competing to get your attention and business online. So the first question is compare the business models and core competencies of Google, Apple, and Facebook. So Apple started as a personal computer company, manufactured personal computers for people at home, people at work, and now they are the biggest leader in mobile technology, mobile devices, tablets, phones, things along that line. They also specialize in mobile software applications, which is their probably their biggest market, I think, right now. Then you have Google. Everyone knows Google as the leading search engine. You Google something, you search it on the internet. But they are also competing with Apple with the Android operating systems for mobile devices, and that heavily competes with Apple's operating systems. And they are also developers of some pretty advanced technologies such as AI, artificial intelligence, and other advanced computer technologies. And Facebook is the world's largest social media network, and they figured out how to monetize that network as while keeping it free for the users by making a lot of money from site traffic and from user data, which was a big issue of one of the other case studies that we've already done. So the next question is, why is mobile computing so important to these three firms? Evaluate the mobile strategies of each firm. So for Apple, mobile computing is pretty much all they do. They're creating apps of extremely high quality for mobile devices, and they're using mobile computing to really set themselves as leaders of innovation in that computing. For Google, what they're using it for is they really just want to make apps compatible across different platforms and different devices, and they really want to open it up rather than having it only tailored towards proprietary platforms like Apple. Facebook is really using mobile computing to integrate themselves completely with mobile devices, and they really want Facebook to be a readily available and easy to use app and program on virtually any platform that you can think of to really capture the widest audience as possible. So the next question is, what is the significance of search to the success or failure of mobile computing? How have Apple and Facebook attempted to compete with Google? Will their strategies succeed? So the search engine function allows heavy traffic onto a site from anyone that is using that engine, which results in money through advertising and stuff like that. And competing with Google would include some different steps that Apple and Facebook have already taken. Apple initiated Siri along with some other tools to help them search for information directly from your smart device. And Facebook is actually looking into building a search engine and an internet provider. I think these strategies are a long shot compared to what Google has already done. I don't know how successful they will be in the long run of running Google, giving them a run for their money, but I think these are really good efforts towards that and towards being competitive and relevant against Google. The next question is, which company and business model do I think is most likely to dominate the internet and why? And I put Google for this. I think from my experiences with smart devices, the hardware, it's pretty apparent to me. I've had both. I've owned Apple devices and I currently have the Google phone. But it's pretty apparent to me that Apple makes the better phone, especially with dealing some of the problems that I have with this Google phone. I actually just bought the new Apple phone because of it. And there's no denying that Facebook leads social media. They're the biggest social media service in the world. However, Google just has the sheer power and resources as the number one search engine and one of the leaders in general computer technology that I think that with enough time and resources spent, they can pretty much get into any technology market that they want to. It's already established itself as this giant, so I think that it could go into virtually any area that they wanted to. What difference would it make to a business or to an individual consumer if Apple, Google, or Facebook dominated the internet experience? Well, I think this goes back to basic economics. Once one of them dominates, it's just a matter of them cornering the market and jacking up the price. And I think that that could be something that we have to watch out for, is that if one of them really controls everything, that they'll start charging us for it, especially a company like Google that charges us for virtually nothing. Long term, if Google wins this technology race, we might see ourselves having to pay for a lot of their services that are currently free. However, it could also mean that the innovations in those programs are going to be a lot more apparent and steady paced. So my first discussion question that I came up with is, have we seen competition related to a field of innovation to this extent previously in our history? And what I was getting at this is talking about the space race is really what this reminds me of. You have companies that are constantly stepping forward of the last move. It's whoever makes the next big step. What's the next step? What's the next step? Stepping forward. And I think that the end goals right now are unclear as to where all of this technological innovation is going. But I think that looking back, what we're going to see is that when one of these companies or innovators finally reaches that goal, it's seriously going to change the course of humanity and society that we know. So my next discussion question: is it at all possible that certain innovations have been made by these companies or others but not yet made apparent to the public? And I think this is pretty obvious, yes. At least in an obvious case for me would be the military. We know that they have technology that civilians do not have. And if companies like Google and Apple are already releasing these highly capable AI services, and Facebook for that matter in some ways as far as data mining, we already know that these services exist because we're seeing it used on us, by us, we can only guess how advanced some of these technologies that are not available to the public eye are, and that's a little bit frightening to me. So in conclusion, these companies are all stepping ahead of each other in innovations and technology and in their own ways, given. But it definitely can't be argued that these innovations will continue to come and that they'll continue stepping forward in order for them to stay relevant and competitive with each other as companies. So that's the end of Chapter 7 case study. Man, that was just incredible, wasn't it?